Project Zomboid's combat system is notoriously janky and hard to learn. Many new users find themselves dying over and over because of its weirdness. After playing with my friends for a couple of hours and watching them die 7 times over to 3 zombies, I have decided to make a simple combat guide. This guide will not be talking about intermediate or advanced strategies, but only the basics of combat and how to survive fighting zombies. Weapon selection is one of the most important parts of getting into a fight in Zomboid. In order to know what weapon is good for you, you first of all need to know your skills, your traits, and of course, if you're bad at the game. Weapons in Project Zomboid are split into several categories, but there are 2 main classes of weapon: blunt and sharp. Blunt weapons are going to be anything that does not have a blade. Crowbars, bats, and hammers are some of the most commonly used weapons in this group. Bladed weapons, or the sharp weapons, are going to be anything else, including machetes, knives, axes, everything that has a blade. The main difference between the 2 weapon groups is going to be their durability and damage output. Bladed weapons will deal much more damage at the expense of durability, meaning that with low maintenance skill they won't last quite as long as a blunt weapon will. Blunt weapons are ideal for grinding maintenance just because they last a lot longer. Particularly, crowbars last extremely long. This serves as a nice segue into point number 2, leveling maintenance skill. Maintenance is important because it dictates how long your weapons last. For contrast, here's a comparison between me using a hunting knife at maintenance 0 and using the same hunting knife at maintenance 10. Your character's default unarmed attack may not seem great at first glance. It doesn't deal damage, so it's probably not good. This is incorrect. The shove is centerpiece in avoiding getting swarmed. Your shove is a relatively fast attack with great knockback. That is its main advantage. You can almost always use it to push away zombies. Characters with high strength may even find themselves knocking zombies over with it. Now, in order to effectively use your shoves, you need to know when to shove a zombie as opposed to attacking it. While this mainly comes down to game sense, a good rule of thumb is to avoid fighting more than one zombie at a time. As in, if there's two zombies next to each other, you're gonna push one of them back so that one stays in front. In general, it's a good idea to only fight one zombie at a time. If you have multiple in front of you and you don't have multi-hit on, this means that missing an attack or even just suffering from the slowdown of attacking could cause the other zombie to hit you. So try and keep your hordes in a teardrop formation, having one at the front and most of them following behind. But even more important than all of this is to not panic. Mashing buttons and spinning your mouse is the easiest way to die. If you mistime your attacks, there's a pretty good chance you're going to miss, get eaten alive, and have to restart. So make sure to keep calm, and if anything starts looking bad, just turn the other way and walk. Even though every skill in the game is useful, some are more useful than others for combat. This is why you should level up Nimble. Nimble is the skill that dictates how fast you move while aiming. As you can see here, my character at Nimble 10 is faster than the zombies even when aiming. This gives me a massive upper hand in combat, not even having to stop aiming to get away from them. Leveling Nimble is relatively easy. All you have to do is walk around in this aim style. If you do it long enough, you're going to eventually reach higher and higher levels of Nimble. I would, however, suggest mods that maybe add books for XP boosts on Nimble, as it can take quite a while to grind out. Alternatively, you could play with an XP boost if you prefer. While higher levels of Nimble do mean you'll move faster while aiming, keep in mind that the weapon attack speed debuff is still there. Swinging your weapon will slow you down considerably, so make sure to take that into account whenever you're fighting. And always check your back. One of the most important things you'll learn in Project Zomboid is to just let go sometimes. Quite often, battles simply aren't winnable. Maybe you got wounded and can't fight, or maybe you're just carrying too much weight. But quite often, you just won't be able to fight for one reason or another. So, what you're going to do is lead the horde chasing you to the nearest woodland. Forests and trees are the easiest way to break line of sight. Once in the forest, you're gonna simply run around a bit and hope that the zombies get lost in there. Zombies are deadly, and nobody is telling you to fight a ton of them at once, so why should you? One of the easiest ways to avoid dying is just knowing when you should fight. Now, if you find one or two isolated zombies, surely you can take those on. Just make sure the area is relatively clear and there aren't any nearby hordes waiting to catch you when you least expect it. But let's say there's a large horde blocking a place you need to go to and you don't know how to fight them all at once. Well, if you crouch and press Q, as opposed to yelling out like you normally do, your character will whisper. This allows you to pull maybe one or two zombies from a horde, lead them away, kill them in a relatively safe area, and then pull another two. You can repeat this until you've effectively taken a horde of 30 out just by killing them in groups of 2. This strategy is especially important if you plan on ever trying out sprinters, since even 2 sprinters can be a death sentence. Sprinters are notorious for being able to stun lock you with ease, so make sure to use this strat to pull at best 1 or 2 towards you. Fence combat is generally regarded as an intermediate strategy. However, there's a much simpler way of doing it that could help you as a noob. I like to call this the safe version of fence fighting. Primarily, it's just fence fighting but with a lot less risk, even though it takes longer. The basis is simple. You're still going to just be jumping over the fence, but since you're probably new, you're only going to want to get 1 or 2 hits off at best before running away. Essentially, you're going to take a medium-sized group of zombies and get them to follow you. Once they jump over the fence, hold Alt so that your character targets zombies on the ground, and try to hit one zombie in the head. If you miss or if you hit, try to jump over the fence before any zombies lunge at you. This means that you're safe from being tripped over and inevitably killed. I've died many times to fence fighting myself. Over time, this strategy slowly becomes more obsolete as you gain higher skill levels and can start swinging faster. If you hit the floor fast enough, you can just start killing zombies while standing pretty much still. Just remember to run away as soon as you see a zombie lunging and avoid getting tripped as many times as I did in this clip. The lunge hitbox is huge, and it's extremely janky and hard to tell when you're going to get hit. So always practice extra caution before fence fighting. And don't even fence fight if you don't know the basics of regular combat yet. And for the last section, I will be talking about what should have been the first section. The absolute basics of combat in Project Zomboid. Fighting isn't as difficult as it seems. You may feel overwhelmed taking on several zombies who just don't seem to die no matter how much you hit them. But in reality, all that you need to know is that you need to keep walking backwards, turn around now and then, and be aware of your surroundings.